7:10 is the time right now. We just heard what to expect tonight, and we know that this will likely be a contentious debate. And now we want to take a closer look at what's at stake here.
Of course, we're talking about the AG race in Virginia. Republican Attorney General Jason Miyares going against Democratic challenger Jay Jones. Again, in Richmond. Joining us today is Dr. Karen Hult, professor of political science with Virginia Tech. So good to have you with us today.
Good to be with you.
Let's start with the controversy surrounding some of these texts that we've seen. We know that back in 2022, Democrat Jay Jones suggested former House Speaker Todd Gilbert deserved, quote, 2 bullets to the head, compared him to Adolf Hitler and Pol Pot. What does Jones need to achieve in tonight's debate if he hopes to move forward at all?
A very difficult position for Jay Jones. What he'll have to do is probably just a continuation of what he's been doing, saying, I've apologized to the Gilbert family. I was wrong under those conditions, but let's pivot. That was a different time and a different place. What I want to do is pivot and look forward to what I can bring to the Attorney General's office in Virginia. That'll be very difficult for him to do, but that's really the narrow lane that he has to travel, I think.
All right, and his opponent, what does he need to do to achieve success in tonight's debate?
Well, I think he needs to, of course, highlight those text messages and raise questions like, what does that say about the status of the person that we would be putting in the Attorney General's office in the Commonwealth of Virginia, who, among other things, advises all public agencies and the governor as well as the legislature, and can give formal advisory opinions to all government officials across the Commonwealth of Virginia. What kind of status and view do we have of that person? So I certainly would expect Attorney General Miyares to focus on those issues. But I think what he'll also do is twofold. One is he will be very, very careful to tout what he has done as Attorney General. For example, Operation Ceasefire that his office started in 2022. We've seen a late VCU report that says it's been quite successful in reducing homicide rates. And in the 13 focal cities that the Commonwealth focused on with Operation Ceasefire, we've seen a dramatic decrease in violent crime. I would think his reduction in fentanyl deaths that he will take some credit for in the state of Virginia, as well as what he's done in terms of defending the state of Virginia at the national level, from his view, in terms of working with the Trump administration. He also will need to pivot to what he will do going forward. So I think he's got all of those policy issues that, though people may be less focused on those, he may well want to address.
I got to take you back to the texting scandal. That's all anyone's talking about right now.
I know, I understand.
It's become this test, right, of political loyalty. Do you stand by this candidate who has become, a hot potato, so to speak, a wounded nominee? Do you risk conceding the race altogether? How has the focus of this race really changed because of this texting scandal?
Well, clearly, it's been a dramatic pivot point, not only for the Attorney General's race, but indeed for the entire Democratic and Republican ticket going forward into November. No doubt that it's going to receive a lot of attention. As you can tell from my response here, is that I understand that, and I understand why the candidates are positioning it that way, especially with the fear that it's going to drag down the entire Democratic ticket. And on the Republican side, they see good news in opening here. No doubt about that. It also runs a real risk of continuing to amplify and underscore the kind of alienation from and distrust of partisan politics and government that exists among many voters. So it may well lead some voters to vote for a particular side. It may well lead others not to vote at all.
So the question here is, how much do you think all this is going to sway undecided voters? Because as you just mentioned, it seems like people are either here or there, and there's no in between because of the way politics are right now. So do you really think that any of this will matter when it comes to swaying voters one way or the other?
A couple of things. As mentioned earlier, there's been early voting. Many people have already cast their ballots. Other people are indeed entrenched in one side or the other. But if there are still independent, undecided voters out there, or Democratic voters who decide to split their ticket, for instance, as well as on the Republican side, that could happen too. Final point is that no debate makes huge movements in the electorate, but it can make a difference at the so-called margins. That could be important in some House of Delegates races, as well as perhaps statewide.
Okay, you touched on this briefly, but the possibility of a split ticket, especially on some of the up ballot races, governor, lieutenant, things like that. What do you think? What's your sense of that? A real possibility?
We've tended not to see that recently in state elections in Virginia. I think to the extent there's been an opportunity for that to happen, I would expect to see it in this election.
All right. Look, certainly appreciate your time with us. Dr. Karen Hult, professor of political science with Virginia Tech. Thank you.
Thank you.
Once again, we'll be streaming tonight's debate right here on WUSA 9+. Our Matthew Torres will be down in Richmond covering all of this. That debate starts at 6, and if you miss it, we've got you covered tomorrow morning.